If you're going through a crisis, there's probably one thing you want, and that's to get the best possible outcome. And it doesn't matter what that crisis is. My name is Michael Santos. I'm the founder of Prison Professors, and we're a nonprofit that strives to show people how to navigate their way through crisis. And I always make three promises. One, I'm never going to lie to you. Two, I'm never going to ask you to do anything I didn't do. And three, I'm never going to charge you a penny for any of the work that we offer here through prisonprofessors.org. It's a nonprofit, but it really only works if you are willing to work. Nobody should want to get through the crisis more than you. And if you want to get through a crisis, you need to be the CEO of your life. You need to visualize best possible outcomes and then create a plan that will help you get there. One of the things that we teach in our program is the importance of a release plan. A release plan is exactly what I describe when I say to be the CEO of your life. You need to develop a plan. You need to put priorities in place. And you need to develop tools, tactics, and resources that will accelerate the plan. And again, to demonstrate I don't ask you to do anything I didn't do, I'm going to share my screen. This is the website at prisonprofessors.org. And if you scroll through it, you kind of see how does somebody go from being in a crisis to being in control of his life. And I demonstrate that through all the books that I wrote. But if you go up to the top, the main menu, you will see something there called Founders Page. And the Founders Page is specifically to help you see I'm not asking you to do anything that I didn't do. If you click on the Influences page and you scroll down, you are going to see all of the influences that I memorialized and documented while I was going through 9,500 days in prison. All of these people were part of my plan. I didn't know when I started the journey that I was going to bring many people that are some of the world's leading business leaders worth billions of dollars that they've created. I didn't know that I was going to get those people into my life. All I knew was I hated being in prison. And in order to build something better, I needed to have a plan. And in my case, that plan was to guide me through multiple decades in prison. I would need that plan to show anybody I met in the future, how did I get here? Because otherwise it would just say, you were lucky. I can't tell you how many times people have told me I was lucky. And sure, if you want to say serving 26 years in prison, I was the luckiest guy on the planet. And in some ways, I will have to say there is some truth to that, because the journey didn't only include hardship and difficulty and struggle. It gave me a pathway to start building confidence, because I could show what is it that I want to become in the future. In my case, I learned from leaders, and those leaders taught me to stop thinking about what I wanted and start thinking about the success that I wanted to build. How am I going to get there? I had to start thinking about all of the people that would have influence in my life, and that's the same thing you have to do. If you're going through a challenge right now, think about the people that can influence your prospects for success as you define success. There's nothing I could do to change the past. There's nothing you can do to change the past. But if you lay out a very good plan, and that plan is iterative, developing over time, you are going to create more opportunities. This lesson is one that is like the hallmark of all of our courses, is you've got to see what it is you want to achieve. I used to see someday I'm going to get out of prison. I'm going to be able to put on a suit and tie. I'll be able to walk into any environment unscathed. Nobody will know that I was tarnished by 9,500 days in prison. In fact, I could use it as a strength. How can I use it as a strength? Because I could show them my plan. I could show them how I learned from all these leaders from the first day of my arrest. And in that first year when I was locked in solitary cells and reading the Bible or listening to my family or getting books that would help me learn from others, they all helped me develop a pathway that would show I can become something more than what I made in the bad decisions I made during the recklessness of youth. And then I would have to document every day, not only show today, look back, but what am I doing every single day? Well, if you look at our daily blog, you'll see that's something that I committed to do, because I'm asking you, build a plan, make your plan iterative, but show the work you're doing every single day. In fact, on March the 30th, I wrote this article specifically because people asked me, well, how do I build a great release plan? So read this article. If you can't take the time to read this article, then you don't really have the skill to question me on why is this going to be relevant. And I want you to be able to question me, because I would never ask you to do something I didn't do. Start asking those same kinds of Socratic questions that guided me. And they, for me, it began before I was even sentenced. What would the judge consider when sentencing me? What would prison administrators consider once I got to prison? What would I have in common with every other person in prison? What could I do to differentiate myself from every other person in prison? Who could influence my prospects for a higher level of liberty at the soonest possible time? What would my life be like on the other side of the journey once I got out? How would I earn a living with the reality of my conviction and lengthy prison term? All of these required me to think about the challenges that I would face. In the article, I wrote about how I got inspired by reading this story from Homer, one of the ancient poets who wrote during the ancient Greek era. And he wrote the story about Odysseus, who was trying to navigate a series of enormous crises, crossing an ocean and confronting monsters and seductive women and winds and all these kinds of things that would take him off of his path. But he had a plan. And he stuck to that plan, and he ended up getting the result, even though he was stuck at sea for 10 years. I wasn't stuck in prison for 10 years. I was stuck in there for 10,000 days, well, really 9,500 days. And the plan had to show that I was always assessing my strengths, my weaknesses, my opportunities, my threats. It was showing how I built a blueprint to cross through that journey with daily action. You've got to execute your plan every single day. You got to hold yourself accountable. And you've got to make sure that you're using your plan in such a way that will influence what you become on the other side of the journey. In my case, I knew that I wanted to not only become financially independent so I would never have to work for anybody else, not because I didn't want to work for anybody else, but just I realized this is one of the weaknesses of my life. I made really bad decisions during the recklessness of youth, and I think that the opportunities for me to build a career in a traditional job were infinitesimal. So I had to find ways to create my own income streams. That required a plan that didn't start the day I got out of prison, but rather before I even got to prison, when I was still locked in a federal detention center, not even knowing how much time I was going to get. It's the reason that we now have this amazing team of people that are on our board advising me, and you can see them for yourself. Just go to our website at prisonprofessors.org and scroll down to the bottom, and you will see these incredible world-class entrepreneurs and business leaders who have helped me develop, including that super smart one right there in the center, Carol Santos, the woman I married inside of a federal prison, or Bill McGlashan, founder of TPG Capital, Peter Hardin, former U.S. attorney, Augustin Junias, one of the world's most well-known vintners, Justin, my partner at White Collar Advice, all of these people, Jerry Lundergan, Greg Reyes, Chris Leshevsky, CZ, Lee Knobman, multi-billionaires that have come in to support this effort. Why? Because they know the criminal justice system is not working the way that we want it to work. And we as individuals have a duty and a responsibility to help more people emerge successfully with their dignity intact and with opportunities to prosper. I am Michael Santos, the founder of prisonprofessors.org, and I will never ask you to do anything that I didn't do. In fact, I'm still on this release plan because it's part of my ministry to build a machine that will change outcomes for all people in the criminal justice system. But I can only do my part. You've got to do your part. Learn how to develop an effective release plan and use it in your own self-advocacy campaigns in the same way that I do, in the same way that I have no doubt you did while you were building success in other areas of your life. Don't think of the release plan as just a static document, a process that governs you. Oh, I built a release plan. Why didn't anything happen? No, you've got to be the CEO. You've got to be the master. You are in control of the release plan, the one that you create today and the one that's going to be different 6 months from today because of the decisions that you make every single day. I am Michael Santos, and I believe in you. Be cool now.